Alright guys, so we are back on some more Persona 5 The Phantom X, and in today's video we're going to be showcasing / taking a look at the newly released character Messa, who I happened to acquire through the 50/50 banner. I was actually fortunate and won my 50/50 after a long while, and with the 50/50 character win we also picked up his weapons because I thought his weapons were some nice looking weapons, and you know how it is with me, if the weapons look nice, I'ma pull for them. Unlike a certain other character. I'm looking at you, Tropical Motoha. But we're not here to slander Motoha's 5-star weapon. We are here to take a look at the boy himself. Let's quickly take a look over at his revelation cards here. We're running the oppression set on him with most of the main stats, or all of the main stats, being attack percentage. I'm generally curious as to why attack percentage is ran over something like attack multiplier. This is my understanding of it. I could be completely wrong, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm all willing to learn from you guys. Is attack percentage run here because it actually boosts the damage over time, so the ailments, the bleeds, and attack multiplier is just increasing the overall damage done through the skill itself, like the skill strike? You guys can let me know if that's completely wrong, but this might be why attack percentages run, to kind of not only boost the skill damage but boost the damage over time. But you guys, once again, let me know if I'm completely wrong. The thing with Messa is, if you are completely skipping out on Messa, I don't think it's that big of a loss, considering we already have a single target physical damage dealer in the form of Ryuji, and all things considered, he is a non-limited character, so you might have him on your account already, so you might not see the necessity in pulling for Messa. And I'm not gonna lie, before Messa's release I thought this dude was going to be an AoE physical damage dealer. So in my mind, I'm like, how is Ryuji gonna power creep someone like him when they fill two completely different roles? That is not the case. They both do single target damage. As of right now, Messa does seem to be the better physical damage dealer, but honestly, that might change over time. Ryuji might become the better single target physical damage dealer due to releases of other characters. Now, which characters might those be? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But what does differentiate the two is the fact that Messa does have a bleed gimmick, an ailment gimmick, which essentially does damage over time when the enemy does act on their turn, and this damage is in fact almighty damage, and I think it's a bit of your physical damage. You guys can let me know how this works. I'm a little bit confused because originally I thought bleed was simply just almighty damage, but it reads here almighty damage based on their max HP and physical damage based on Kitazatos attack. Oh, I see what it means now. Okay, so the almighty damage scales off the enemy's max HP, and the other damage included is physical damage that is based on his attack. Okay, you know what, that makes more sense. So the almighty damage, from the looks of it, is not scaling off his attack percentage. That is purely the enemy's max HP, but this one does. Okay, interesting. See, I've tested him quite a bit, and I'm still like learning more about this character. So if there's things that are just going over my head, you guys can feel free to let me know, as I am trying to get a full grasp of this character, because the thing with P5X character releases, they seem a little complex at the start until you really start to play them. But then again, that's with any other game, so I don't know what I'm talking about. So this is the team I generally like to run for Messa here. The navigator being Phoebe, which does help you increase your physical damage and your attack overall. But good alternatives for an offensive navigator is something like Okion. Not only is she increasing your attack, she increases your ailment accuracy, and you're even able to do more damage when enemies are inflicted with ailments. So Okion, not a bad alternative if you don't have Phoebe. Another good alternative is Wind. She's doing a lot of debuffs, which means more damage for your Messa, so not a bad choice at all. A staple teammate in my opinion is someone like Seaside Tomoko, which provides a lot for Messa. Keep in mind I do have her 5-star weapon, which does do a little bit more. So we increase the enemy's damage taken, and we even decrease the defenses and ailment resistances by 12%. So yeah, bleeds are going to be doing more, his physical strikes are going to be doing more, all that goodness. With that being said, her skill 2 also increases his damage and gives him a 55.2% ailment accuracy. So that's just absurd for Messa if you're lacking that ailment accuracy. But to be honest, I don't know if Messa is going to be really lacking a lot, because I already have a lot into him. But then again, that could be because of my cards and my weapon. But not only is she able to provide buffs, but her debuffs as well, allowing you to increase foes damage taken by 18.4%, so that is very good. A good alternative could be someone like Marion. I think A1 Marion also gives the targeted ally, when you heal them, pierce rate, and someone like Messa does appreciate pierce rate, so if you don't have Seaside Tomoko, Marion would be a good replacement. Horde is here because she is essentially a staple on every single team, or a lot of teams at least. She's giving you attack bonus and even the ability to use a highlight for a character even when they don't have their highlight ready. And as for Wonder, these are generally the persona choices I'm rocking with at the moment. Chernabog is a really good persona when using someone like Messa, as their passive allows you to decrease the ailment resistance and defense, while also increasing damage taken by 6%, which is not bad, honestly. That is quite synergistic with someone like Messa. Dominion here, because they're able to increase attack and damage, all that goodness. Yanosik here is simply here for debuffs and things like that, so an extra debuff. Since we are going to be already doing debuffs with Chernabog, we also have debuffs with Yanosik. As for Wonder's weapon, we are using the newly acquired weapon, as it does quite a bit to help out Messa when you inflict a status ailment on a foe, so that being either Chernabog's skill 1 or Yanosik's mark. You can decrease the foe's ailment resistance by 12%, defense by 5%, and even increase your own damage by 10%. But it is also able to even increase physical damage taken by 14% for 3 whole turns. Another good alternative is EX Machina here. There's not really a wrong choice between the two. They both perform pretty well. So with that being said, we're actually going to take this team into a guild boss. We're not going to actually do the whole guild boss. I just kind of want to explain my understanding of Messa and how to play him, because originally I did want to showcase him on a weekly boss, but the thing is, this team does too much damage, depletes the health bar too quick, and we're not properly able to showcase Messa. So enough yip yap, let's get into this really quickly and try and explain Messa the best we can. This is generally my favorite team to run with Messa here, both in casual content and in guild boss content, though I understand that this might not be the most casual friendly, as it is a premium team consisting of 3 5-stars. Now, what I generally like to do with Moko is skill 2 to increase his damage, and it does increase his ailment accuracy, but as you can see here, we're already at 100% ailment accuracy, and to actually get the damage bonus, you only need 90% of ailment accuracy, so we are quite stacked on ailment accuracy. So we're doing this simply for the sake of increasing his damage. And with Chernabog here, his passive just allows Messa to do more damage, and even paired with Wonder's new weapon, you're getting a lot of debuffs. And of course, Cord is here working as our attack buffer, highlight spammer. You know how it is with Cord doing Cord things. So with Messa here, you generally want the enemy to have at least 7 bleed stacks to activate his Ripper mode, which will essentially allow him to do a lot more damage. His skill 1 here provides a stack of bleed, which is 5, and his skill 2 here, though does more damage, only provides like 2 bleeds. So generally what I want to do here, what I'm going to do here at least, is so we can activate Ripper next turn, we're going to do highlight. With highlight here, also take a look at his highlight. It looks beautiful. He generally has one of the most beautiful looking highlights, because I just love how intense the entrance of him is. And my goodness, look at these weapons, bro. These weapons are gorgeous aesthetically. If you're pulling this character simply for aesthetic, I really think you'll appreciate it, especially with his 5-star weapons here. We have 5 stacks on him. That is clearly not enough to actually activate Ripper form next turn. We're gonna do skill 1 instead of skill 2 here, because with skill 1, it provides more bleeds. So now we have 10, and the more bleeds they have, the more damage you're going to be doing. So with the 10 bleeds active, we're actually going to be able to activate Ripper form and dish out some crazy damage with him. With skill 2 already active on Messa, we're actually going to do skill 3, and then we're going to go ahead and use Cohesion on Messa here. And then Cord, I generally like to save this when we're down a couple bleed stacks. So for my rotation, what I generally like to do is skill 1 here, since we already have 10 bleed stacks, and generally I'd like to use the highlight when we're down some bleed stacks so we can reactivate it. And now see, we have the Ripper form here. Now here's the thing with this Ripper form that I've learned. What skill 1 does is it does 237.2% of attack damage, the same as this. They both have the same scaling, but they both operate a little differently, as this one removes 2 bleed stacks when used, and this one completely depletes all of the bleed stacks on the enemy, but it does some bonus damage based on the number of bleed stacks the enemy might have. So in this case, if I were to use skill 2, I would be doing more damage to the enemy, but I would be losing on the damage over time that will come next turn because I consumed all the bleed stacks. If I decided to use skill 1 here, I'd still be doing the big damage, though losing out on the damage bonus. However, he will lose HP because of the bleeds he has on him. So generally, here's what I would recommend. Only use skill 2 if you want to kill the enemy because they have like a bit of HP remaining. Let's say in an overworld fight and want to just finish off the enemy because he has no HP remaining, just do skill 2. If you have, the more bleeds the better, as you'll do more damage and you can finish the fight. But for long-term fights, long period fights, just use skill 1 so you can have his Ripper state still ready. Because if we were to use our skill 2 here, he wouldn't have Ripper ready. He wouldn't. As you can see there, he did do some chip damage, but if we had used skill 2, that wouldn't have been the case, as they wouldn't have any bleed stacks and they wouldn't have taken that extra chip damage right there. So it's a bit situational whether or not you want to use skill 2 or not, but generally just go ahead and use skill 1. If that is completely incorrect, you can, like, by all means let me know. That is generally how I've been playing the character, and if you have found a optimal way to use skill 2, include skill 2, you can let me know. I'm all free for learning like these new rotations and things of that nature. But Rakunda here, and then usually here we still have 8 of these bleed stacks. So generally what I like to do is I'll just pop this attack buff once more, and then we can activate the Ripper form again. We'll use Chord's highlight, and then we just use skill 1 again. And now we're at 6 this time. We're at 6 bleed stacks. This time we won't be able to use Ripper form because you need 7 to actually be able to use it. So this turn we'll use Chord's skill 3, which allows us to get an extra 5. Then we can continue and use Ripper. So this is like the most efficient way to spam Ripper. If you want to have Ripper up all the time, this is the rotation you generally want to be doing. Next turn, he would still be at 6 bleed stacks, but because of Chord and her skill 3, her wonderful skill 3 filled with a bunch of magic, we can get this dude aura farming. Those 6 bleeds turn into 10, and with 10 bleeds there, we can now do his Ripper stance, and now he's aura farming even more. Look at that. That's generally the rotation I like to do. We once again continue with the skill 1s, and we'll basically have Ripper up until his attack turns go to 0. But yeah, that is generally my rotation for Messa. What I like to do is just have him up on his Ripper form as much as I can so he can just absolutely aura farm. All right, so that is gonna do it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and hopefully this gave you somewhat of a better understanding on Messa as a whole. If there are some things that I should improve on or could have explained a little better, by all means let me know. I'm all for learning more about the game, but this is generally my understanding after one day of testing Messa. In my personal opinion, Messa is a 10 out of 10 character in terms of aesthetics, visuals. I like the character's aesthetics, but by no means is he required, as we do have someone like Ryuji, who is also a single target physical damage dealer that will only get better as time goes on. So if you miss out on this character, don't feel too bad, as we have another character that can fill that role. But with that being said, that's gonna do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are brand new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.